I'm Roger, this is Athena, and this is Captain Cosmos Collectibles. This is my very first YouTube that I've ever filmed and edited specifically for YouTube. It'll mostly be a channel focused on toys and collectibles, occasionally comics, occasionally cats. I've been on YouTube, but I've never had my own YouTube channel before now. I've been interviewed several times for my book series, After Action Report. It's a guidebook to G.I. Joe comics, and we're on our fourth book at the moment. One of the purposes of this channel will be to show dealers what a show is like before they ever commit to doing the show. I'm not really a dealer anymore, so now I can attend shows with this kind of footage in mind. I can show you what the show's like. I wanted to give a walkthrough of the shows and not just show what's there, but what kind of vibe each show has. And then I wanted to sit down and talk to the showrunners and owners of each of these shows so that you know a little bit about what you're getting into if you decide you want to try out this show. The first show we're doing is RetroRama Comics and Collectibles Show in Jacksonville, Florida. Takes place a couple times a year, and I had been a dealer at this show for quite a number of years. I did attend RetroRama with the early bird entry, so it'll largely look empty, but very few people are in the show yet. They're still setting up, and they haven't opened up to general public yet. The show is free, but it costs, I believe it was $10 for early entry. So it's me, the dealers, and like 5 other guys. So don't take the empty aisles to be an indication of traffic flow for this show. It's usually a pretty decent show in terms of foot traffic. So with that, we'll be taking a look at RetroRama, get a quick look at the show. At the end of the video, I'll take a quick look at some of the tables, and we can talk about what I picked up.
I know, building this stuff.
Yeah, I think he did a lot of artists there last time.
Yeah, he did the
He
artists.
does that thing where you have to like get people to check off.
Yeah.
I like that idea. Yeah, no, he came and brought his payback to the next show.
How we doing? Not too bad. I'm alive. Me too. Me too.
Yeah. And you got a box.
I'm here at RetroRama with Ed Tucker, the guy that started it all. So, Ed, can you introduce yourself? Tell me how you got started in RetroRama.
Well, I've been a toy collector, Roger, since, well, probably since I was a kid, and I got back into it. You know, of course, when you get into high school and you discover girls, toys aren't cool. So, you know, I got out of it for a while. Then I got out of college. I got a job. I got back into toy collecting in 1991 when I went to a show in Orlando and discovered there actually were toy shows.
Absolutely.
I had no idea that anything existed before that, so I was amazed. So at that time, I became a collector.
Tell me about the show, about RetroRama itself. How long has it been going on, and how often does it happen?
Well, Roger, we started in 2012. It started early that year as an experiment just to see if Jacksonville even wanted a toy show at that point. We had a lot of people that said they did, but you just never know. And so we started here at the Ramada, and all I did, I think I took up probably half of those tables, and we gave the rest of them just to friends. Everything, we built it as a toy and collectible show. And with very little, I think we advertised on Craigslist because Facebook wasn't even a thing back then. And we ended up pulling in over 100 people that came with just minimal advertising, and we made our money back. But I said, this proves that the formula still exists, and people want this. And the biggest impact that show had on me was the number of people that came to us and said, "We are so thankful that you brought a toy show back to Jacksonville." Okay, we got to do this. So the next show we did after that, we very gradually, actually fairly quickly grew until we took over the whole thing. And we've gotten to the point now where we sell out like within a few weeks of a given show. Absolutely. We started doing shows 3 months ago. We just found out that worked the best. That's it. Any more than that, I think it's a little too much. But we can get away with 3, and people seem to like that. That seems to be the magic number. So we're sticking to that right now. And then, we're, as you can see, we're filling the facility for this particular show. We're even using the Comedy Zone. There's a specific event in there for Disney pin trading. We're sort of on the fence about whether we'd like to grow or not, because things are working so well at this size. We want RetroRama to be a destination so that we come there at 9 o'clock in the morning and we leave at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. There's stuff to do all day long aside from just going to toy shows. So, and Jacksonville is a very odd place for convention space. We're really lucky to have the Ramada right here where it is and have what's available, because after, to step up from here, there's really nowhere to go but the fairgrounds or the Prime Osborne Center, which are considerably larger, but they all come with their own problems. And one thing that we've gone to is the dynamic of not charging admission, which people really, the vendors love it, people love it. It's good for families that have 4 kids that, don't want to be out $100 before they walk in the door. And the beauty of it is they spend that money with the vendors. So, that works out great. If we go to something like that, we are going to have to start charging $25 a head to get in, and we don't want to do that. We're happy with this working the way it is, and maybe Jacksonville will catch up at some point and have another venue that will work for that.
Jacksonville is a strange city. It's so undeniably large.
I moved here in 1987 from Ocala, Florida, and I very quickly realized that I was living in a big city that had a small city mentality.
Very much so.
And they weren't looking really to expand like they should have. And I think they have done that some, particularly in the last 20 or so years, but a lot of the infrastructure is not caught up with it.
And I'm glad you're on the south side of town, because that makes Central Florida an easy drive up to it. Or if you were anywhere else, that'd be an extra half hour at least.
So the good thing about this is located in what they call the Mandarin area, which is an upscale shopping area. There's stores all up and down this same strip that we're on.
Okay.
So, it's even for the people, we get a lot of just drive-by traffic.
Yeah, it's nice and convenient right off the freeway. So.
Right, and as long as they, come in, they're going to get here. Well, how much is it to get in? Oh, it's free. Well, I'm in.
Absolutely.
We're not going to lose them at the admission.
Yes, if you got them to the hotel, you get them through the door.
So, we do love this. We love the location. It's just that if they could build out about 50% more space right now, we'd be ecstatic. For this show, we added a few more overflow tables out in the hall, just to get so many people that wanted in. And I love having new vendors. Now, don't get me wrong, I love our loyal vendors that we have. They're the best. But it's always nice to have a little bit of new merchandise in there, a little different flavor.
Yeah, like when I walked in this morning, the guy just sold out his table, and it was his first show.
And that's probably about the maybe 3rd or 4th time we've had that happen in the last 10 years. He came and told me, he said, I didn't think I'd sell anything, and here I am. I'm selling out before the general admission. It's not typical, but it does happen.
Yeah, excellent. So, what do you like to focus on for the show, and what do you think, in general, the dealers focus on?
Well, we have dealers for just about everything, and we're getting a little bit broader now. If you notice with this particular show, we've got a couple of record dealers. We've got a couple of artist type dealers. One guy does neon signs. We have a guy that does the duck type things, which I've seen quite a few people buying those today. So that's obviously popular. So we're getting a little bit broader in the mix. The name of the show is the RetroRama June.
Yeah.
I will always want to focus on the retro piece. And that may not necessarily be the hot seller. You know, every single show I get at least one thing ask me, what should I bring to the show? Like, what's going to be the hot seller?
Yeah, you know.
And that's exactly what I tell them. You know, you just don't know. For this particular show, I told people, look, we've got a Disney pin trading event going on. I would recommend you bring some Disney stuff.
Yeah.
We have one guy that's advertising very heavily. He's got a really nice vintage Star Wars collection. I would recommend that you bring some Star Wars stuff. Because as long as people are coming in for those specific things, they're going to look around at everything else. And if you have, and a guy came over to me this morning and bought a bunch of Star Wars stuff that I had from 4 years ago. And he was very happy with it. And he said, you know, I bought from the other guy, but you know, you got some loose stuff here. I need this, you know, so I'll pick that up too. Good.
One quick question.
Sure.
When's the next show?
The next show is September 24th. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah.
We've already got a few things in the works that we're talking about. You know, we're getting into Halloween time. You know, we're always looking for new and different things. So
Yeah.
let's see what we come up with.
Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you for having me, Roger. I appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for doing that. Can't pass up anything with a vamp on it, or in this case, a stinger. But still fun.
I got 235 on it. I mean, it's a 260 all day. It's prize time again. If you like aliens, come see me at the Blue Light. Prize giveaway, Knucklehead Trivia. Come see me at the Blue Light. Free stuff. Not you. You vendor son.
Still waiting for a vendor to take me up on that offer. It's $1 sale.
30 seconds, nobody else comes over. You get to play.
Okay, so what did I pick up at RetroRama? I'm sure if you've been to a lot of toy shows yourself, you know that it can be very hit or miss. Sometimes you find things, sometimes you don't. It doesn't matter how good or bad the show is. You just don't find what you're looking for sometimes. And in this case, I didn't find much. And maybe I got some things that I normally wouldn't have picked up. But I'm happy with my purchases anyway. The first major thing I got for the weekend was this Flash Gordon Adventure set from Color Forms. Got this from Ed himself. It's right up his alley. The reason I picked up this particular item was that I have some of the pre-production items from this set, and we'll probably cover that in a future video. When it gets down to it, I'm primarily a loose action figure collector, and lately I've been trying to focus on a lot of the vintage lines from the 70s and early 80s, and I've gotten into I've gotten into Fisher-Price Adventure People pretty heavily lately. I realized when I closed my store, I had half the collection in inventory, and I didn't really want to give them up anymore, so I kept them. And now I'm trying to complete the collection. It's only about 80 figures altogether. And that was one of the ones I needed, so he went home with me. I also brought home 2 of the Frankenstein action figures from Burger King in the early 90s. A lot of people mistake these for the Remco action figures from the late 70s. It's easy to see why. They're 3 3/4 inch, 5-point articulated figures with pretty much the same cast, but these clear-headed ones, those are the Burger King versions, and I almost completed that set. Right at the end of that walkthrough video, you probably overheard the announcer talking about a trivia contest for Alien action figures, and nobody else was biting, so I went up and won myself a pair of Alien action figures. It wasn't something I was after, but free action figures. How can you pass that up? I did end up coming home with a nice pile of comics at this show. When you don't find many toys, you hit the dollar bins and start pulling out comics. I did find a near complete run of G.I. Joe Special Missions. Got a few other series I was looking for just to read. But my favorite item was not for collectible reasons at all. I found this promotional comic from General Mills for just superheroes, games, and puzzles from Marvel Comics. And what drew me to this one wasn't even that it was a promotional comic. It wasn't that it's rare, which I've never run across this particular one before, but it was obviously it was probably his only comic book. And he was trying desperately to preserve this comic. He's got taped edges on here. He's got the pages essentially glued and taped back into the comic book. It was probably a 32-page book. There's, I think, 8 pages left in here, and they're in the wrong order. This was special to him, and it somehow made it in this very poorly preserved condition into my hands, and I couldn't pass it up. It was just special on its own. It has no collectible value in terms of CGC grading or anything like that, but it had its own story, and I couldn't pass it up. So that's what I ended up picking up at RetroRama Collectibles this year. If you're in the northern part of Florida or southern part of Georgia, Jacksonville's RetroRama Collectible Show is very worthwhile to stop by if you ever get the chance. With that, thanks for watching. Pick up my book if you're a G.I. Joe comic book collector, and we'll see you next time.